In this lecture, I'm going to introduce you to a very useful tool when working with Link and Entity Framework, LINQPad. So LINQPad is an application written by Joseph Al-Bahari that you can download at linkpad.net. In this lecture, I'm going to give you a quick tour of LINQPad and what you can do with it. So the first time you open LINQPad, this is what you're going to see. On the left side here, we can add a connection. And here we can either connect to a database in our SQL server, or we can connect to a DB context in our application. So, add connection. If you want to build a DB context based on a database, you'll select the first option here. But in our case, we already have a DB context in our application. That's Pluto context. So I'm going to bring that here. So we select this option here. Use a type data context from your own assembly, and select Entity Framework DB context. Next. Now here we need to specify the path to our assembly. So browse. This is the project, bin, debug, and queries. It detected that we have a DB context called Pluto context. So, okay. Next, we need to specify the configuration file here, because this is used for our connection string. So choose outside the bin folder, and here's app.config. Test. Beautiful. Okay. All right, here's our DB context, and look, we've got 4 DB sets here. Now I can select these courses and drag and drop it here. It changes the connection here to Pluto context in queries.exe. Now in this window, we can write expressions. So in this case, courses expression returns all courses in the database. Think of this like context.courses, except that you don't have to type context. Now you can run this expression using F5. And here in the results tab, you can see that this expression returns a DB set of course. And here we have 9 objects in this DB set. So these are the courses in our database. Also, we have a SQL tab here. So similar to SQL Profiler, this shows you the exact query that is going to be executed by Entity Framework. Now, SQL Profiler is useful if you're navigating your application and you want to see what queries are being executed on SQL Server. But if you're not navigating your application, you can copy and paste your queries from your source code into LINQPad and run them here. Now let me show you something interesting. I'm going to apply the group by method on courses object here. So C goes to C.level. So we want to group courses by their level. Let's run this. Okay, scroll up. So you see a lot of noisy queries here on the top, around table schema, around migration history table. Again, here's another one around migrations. Here's migration history. And another one here. These queries are run by Entity Framework once in a while to figure out the version of your database. This happens when there is a delay since the last time you executed a query. So let me run this a couple more times. Okay, so those queries disappeared, and now what you see here is exactly what is executed when you call group by. So if you remember from the lecture about link extension methods, I explained that group by in Link is different from group by in SQL. So as you see, we have a select, a nested select, case when, from select distinct, from left outer join. It's a pretty complex query. In this case, we're working with a simple database with very few number of records. But if you run this on a large database, chances are there's going to be an overhead with this query. Now we can try various optimization ideas and we get immediate feedback here. So in this case, I would rather to load all courses from the database, just having a simple select from courses, and then apply group by on the objects in memory. Now the good thing about LINQPad is we can change our query here and get immediate feedback. This is easier than going to Visual Studio, changing your query, running your application, and going to SQL Profiler. It's very tedious. So in this case, let's try optimizing this query. Courses dot to list. Now I run it again. One more time. Okay. So now we have a simple select from courses table without all these weird nested selects and case when and left outer join. You can also see the query execution time in the status bar here. In case you want to learn more about LINQPad, you can find some samples here. Note that LINQPad is not limited to Link and Entity Framework. You can write any C# code here and get immediate feedback. So basically you call the dump method on any object to see them in the results window. So let's run this expression. We simply get 1, 2, 3 in the results. Now the next one. So this example is around regular expressions. So regex.match with this argument. So this is what we get in return. A match object with these properties. So it's a very beautiful and easy way to visualize data. This is much easier than running your application and inspecting variables in the watch window. Of course, this is not a replacement for debugging and watching variables, because sometimes you want to watch variables based on values at runtime. But if you want to quickly experiment with something, a piece of code, whether that being C# expressions like this example here, or LINQ queries, you can quickly open up LINQPad and experiment here. It's faster and easier than opening Visual Studio, waiting 10 seconds, or creating a new console application. So you get the idea. So use LINQPad, it makes your life easier. I hope you enjoyed this lecture and thank you for watching.